Well, that's my clinic. And this is where my research has been happening. And I live in a 110-year-old house, a Victorian mansion, and that's where we see people like Molly. And we've all got our Mollys. And I saw Molly just a couple of weeks ago, took this photo, and I said, Molly, is it okay if I show your face to this crowd in America? She said, yep, Dr. Ford. And I said, can I show your painting? And she said, yep. Because I give many of my patients canvases and paints, and I say, will you paint a picture of your food? So here she is with her fruit and her sandwich, gluten-free ice cream cone, and she's looking at me with these lovely big eyes, and you know what really is in her thoughts? Dr. Ford, do I really have to be gluten-free forever? And I said to Molly, I don't really know the answer to that question, but I think it would be great for you to be gluten-free till you go out of home, till you leave home, because you can make that decision. But at the moment, I have helped you with your gluten-free path, and I'd like to stay gluten-free for the meantime. Because think about your Mollys. Everybody's got children or grandchildren or was a child. Should we say to Molly, Molly, all that fat stuff that you can get, all of those chippies and all of those pizzas and all of that cheese fat and all of that full fat milk, you just keep eating and eating and eating as much as you possibly can until you get way overweight. And then we may put you on a diet and try and slim you down a bit. Or if your cholesterol is that high, well, just keep on eating and eating and eating, and we'll leave your cholesterol really high, and when you've got that heart attack, we'll say, oh, Molly, you've got end-stage heart disease. I think we better put you on a reduction diet. We're going to bring your weight down. We're going to bring your cholesterol down. And then you're going to be fine. Look, our medical people in New Zealand don't do that, actually. I guess they don't do it here either. Or shall we say, Molly, look, you're wasting good smoking time at the moment. You're only 7. Let's start puffing away now. Why wait till you're 15? It's such a great, sexy habit. And when you finish smoking and you've got emphysema and coughing and can hardly breathe, then we're going to quit smoking, and then you're going to get your lungs better again, aren't you, Molly? I don't think Mum wants to do that. Do you know what's coming next? Whoops. Gluten! Yes! So do I say to Molly, well, Molly, you just keeping on eating that bread, we'll go back on a gluten diet, and we know it's noxious and toxic for you, and we know you were already sick before. You keep eating and eating and eating that gluten until you're sick, you're miserable, you've got diarrhea, headaches, and then when you've got end-stage gut damage, which we can show by endoscopy, then we'll put you on a gluten-free diet and we'll see if your gut completely heals. And we'll see if your bones completely heal, and we'll see if your brain will completely heal. Well, I was a little bit more gentle with Molly, and I said, Molly, I think you should stay gluten-free because it did harm you in the beginning. Because, Molly, when you were 18 months old, your mum brought you to see me in my clinic. You were too young then to remember, but you were 18 months old and you weren't growing well. Look at your funny hair, it wasn't growing well either. You were refluxy and crying and waking in the night, and I had to give you some treatment for that. You had runny poos. And you weren't even walking, you were just bottom shuffling. You were so weak you couldn't even get up on your legs. And we did some blood tests on you, Molly. And you do have the celiac gene, so in the future, if you go back on gluten, you could develop the gut damage of celiac disease. And we did the antibodies, Molly. And Molly, we found that you do not have the celiac antibodies at that stage, but you were only 18 months. And remember that celiac disease is a condition in progress. You don't just get it one day. You slowly, incrementally get sicker and sicker. You weren't that sick to have the celiac markers up, but you were already sensitized to gluten because you had the gluten antibodies up. Your IgG garden was high. And we didn't bother to do an endoscopy on you, Molly, at that time, because you were only 18 months old, your celiac markers were negative, and there would have been a normal biopsy, and we didn't want to put you through that. And if it had been negative, then maybe the GIs would say, well, you have to go back on gluten. So we didn't do that. And now when you were 4, you were happy, everything was fine, and now you're 7 with the gluten syndrome. You feel well, you can't remember being sick. What will we do with you, Molly? Well, that's a question that Molly asks, Mum asks, I'm asking, and I would like your answer shortly about whether Molly should be gluten-free forever.